You deserve a current account that isn't all take, take, take. That's why at Unpost, we're doing 30 for 30. Just open an easy-to-use current account with us, launch €30, and we'll give you another €30 for free. To open a current account that gives, pop into your local post office today or search Unpost Current Account. Terms and conditions apply. Offer ends March 31st, 2019. See smartaccount.ie for details. Unpost is authorised by the Minister for Finance to provide payment services and is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland in the provision of such services.
Welcome into Sportsmemo's Betting Podcast, February 21st. NBA, every game on the board with our NBA expert, Teddy Covers. Red hot in the NBA, man. And hopefully you can keep it up here, Teddy. Welcome to the podcast. How you doing?
Great to be here, Drew.
Great to have you, man. NBA, 100% just in the last couple days. What, the last 10 days or so? You're seeing it well?
We had a nice little run right before the All-Star break. Obviously, nothing happened over the All-Star break, for me at least, NBA-wise. We didn't get involved in the festivities, but a nice run going in. Let's see if we can get on a nice run coming out. I always like this time of the year in the NBA, post-All-Star break, and especially as we get into March, man. The betting markets, I'll just say that college basketball sucks a lot of the oxygen out of the room, which works really well for my style of NBA betting, which is you're finding teams that you want to be on or against and get involved over and over again with those same teams while they're not being priced correctly. And sometimes, post-All-Star break, some of these runs can last quite some time before the betting markets catch up.
Great point, Teddy. And let's start off at the top of the card. 501, 502, 705 Eastern, 405 Pacific tip here. Miami traveling to Philadelphia. And it looks like the 76ers were laying 7.5, now down to just 5.5. So the Heat taking some money, 219 the total. How would you look to bet this East Coast matchup?
Yeah, I mean, this is all about the injury situation. When you talk about the point spread move towards Miami for tonight's game, Joel Embiid is not going to suit up for the 76ers. And, if you watch them play the last couple of years without Embiid, there's a big difference when he's on the floor and when he's sitting, both straight up and against the spread. Of course, this year's Philadelphia 76ers team is a little bit different in that regard. With Tobias Harris, with Jimmy Butler, they've got a big four along with Ben Simmons. So even with Embiid out, one would think that the Sixers are still capable of winning games and or covering point spreads, especially with the money pouring in against them. Miami's had a lot of problems against this team. They are in quote-unquote playoff revenge after getting knocked out in 5 games by Philadelphia last year, covering only once in that 5-game series, although that was a straight-up road win in Philadelphia in Game 2 of that series after getting bombed in the first meeting where they won straight up by 10 as road dogs. Other than that, the Sixers have won and covered everyone in that series. They won and covered the first meeting this year down in Miami. Although we got to say, going into the break, the Heat went on a 5-game road trip. And they only went 3-2 against the spread. They had one bad loss at Denver. But they were pretty much playing as well as they played all year. They beat Portland. They hung within 2 of Golden State. They hung within Sacramento right down to the wire. They knocked off Dallas before the break. There were a lot of positive quotes about the team chemistry going into the break. And they should get Goran Dragic back tonight. Their starting point guard. They've certainly missed him since he's been out. Miami, I like them in the road dog role a whole lot better than the home favorite role. They've been covering numbers. That's been their best ATS role this season. They've been a good road team in general. But for me, this is definitely one to watch, not to get involved with. I want to see how the Sixers look without Embiid. Pace-wise as well, we've seen some money come in on the over. And the sharp books, a little bit higher than the rest. They're thinking Embiid's impact will be felt most on the defensive end of the court. Miami is a team that likes to take it to the rack.
Teddy, next game up, we got Phoenix traveling to Cleveland. I was going to say warm weather to cold weather, but Phoenix there in the desert, not far from Vegas. How is the weather in Vegas right now?
It's snowing. I mean, I think it's stopped now. I'm looking out the window, and it's finally stopped. But it basically snowed all night. It snowed last week. It's been an atypical winter in Las Vegas. Much colder, much wetter than we normally have. Although I'm not sure how much of that's in Phoenix. But the bottom line is we haven't had one of those winters where it's been 60, 70 degrees every day. I'm sure they're cold in Phoenix just like we're cold here in Vegas.
Yeah, no, I've been to Vegas when it's cold, but never when it's snowing. How often is this like really abnormal, or does this happen every year? It's just not that much that it snows in Vegas.
It's probably happened. I've been out here since '98, and I can probably think of maybe a half dozen times where it snowed. Where there's an accumulation, where you can see the snow on the ground. There was one time it snowed 6 inches, but it's it was melted by noon. So it does happen, but it doesn't happen on the regular. And it certainly doesn't happen twice in a week like it's happened here in Vegas this past week.
And when I lived in Atlanta a couple years ago, man, it snowed and it like shut down the city for a while because they don't have like ways to clean it up or anything. And I'm sure Vegas doesn't either. Does that happen there where people can't really get around?
Yeah, I mean, they brought down some snowplows from Mount Charleston.
Okay.
But I mean, it's not like there's a ton of accumulation on the streets. There was snow on the top of my car this morning. There's snow on the back lawn, but there wasn't like 6 inches of snow that the snowplows are trying to deal with. At least not in my part of town. I live on the southern end of town in Southern Highlands. But I know in the west side and the northwest side there was a fair bit of accumulation, and I would imagine things shut down pretty good. Yeah, nobody knows how to drive in this. I moved here from Michigan, where all right, 6 inches. All right, let's go drive 12 hours. That's not the case when you get to places where it doesn't snow.
Yeah, man. And speaking of Vegas news, how's the stadium looking? Are they making progress and it's starting to shape up like it's looking from a stadium from the street?
Oh yeah, the Raiders Stadium. Yeah, it looks really cool. I mean, there's 1,000 cranes over there. They're working on it all day, every day. The whole area around it is getting revitalized. But, the deadline's looming. I mean, that stadium's got, 18 months before the Raiders are supposed to be here. So this town is pretty good at handling big construction projects. We've had 1 million of them, and I would expect the stadium to come in on time or pretty darn close to it. But, yes, and when you're driving on the highway now, you see it on the east side of the highway by Russell Road. And it looks pretty cool. I can't wait to go to my first Raiders game.
All right, man. Well, we got 503-504, the aforementioned Phoenix-Cleveland game. Looks like 221 the total, some over money. It opened 219 up to 221 now. And we're seeing a flip favorite, each team favorite. So this is a good one to shop around. We're seeing ones on Phoenix. We also got a pick 'em on Cleveland if you're looking that side as well. So how would you look to bet Phoenix-Cleveland here tonight?
I wouldn't. I mean, the Suns have lost 15 straight, and they're being priced like they have to win. The Cavs are, 4-23 in their last 27, and they're being priced like they have to win. Boy, I had to love the quote from Kokoskov, the Suns head coach, going to the break. We're all going to get to escape from each other. I think we all need that escape emotionally from losing games, but we are who we are as a group. We belong here, and if we want to change something, we have to do as a group, starting from each individual understanding that we need to change. So it's certainly, I thought it was an appropriate quote. It doesn't speak well about how that, it's a team with a bunch of young guys that are just learning their way. Yes, there's talent, but when you think of about the progression, the Suns right now look like the Kings 2 years ago, they're starting to get some talent there. But it'll be a while before Phoenix is a competitive basketball team. Cleveland's going to be a little bit healthier coming out of the break. I don't know that it matters a whole lot for the Cavs. And Cleveland doesn't seem like, all right, we want that number one pick. We're going to do everything we can. We're going to tank as much as we can to get that to happen. We saw that when they knocked off the Knicks prior to the All-Star break. And the quotes coming out of Cleveland, they're saying, yeah, we've really underachieved. We're better than the numbers show. We're better than our record. From a market standpoint, the team that goes, it's almost like the NFL, where the team goes into the bye and they haven't won a game. They're ice cold and everyone tells them they stink, and they go home and everyone tells them they stink, and they tend to come out of their bye. And those are bet-on teams, winless teams coming off a bye week. Here's the NBA, and they've essentially had their bye just now. Like the Suns were sending 1 million guys to the All-Star game, or the Cavs for that regard. But Phoenix in particular, on this long losing streak, the fact that they've come out of the break and, having spent this time being told how bad they are and how rotten everything is, it feels like a step-up spot for Phoenix. Whether that's enough to get them the money is another question entirely. But I can at least understand conceptually why the markets have moved in their direction this morning. And, of course, when you talk about the Suns and the Cavs, we've all seen some over money, two teams that certainly haven't been noted for their defensive intensity through the first half of the campaign.
Teddy, great breakdown. 100% in the NBA since February 12th. And, guys, if you're a shopper, buyer that likes to get big discounts all at once for a lot of service in the future, today's the podcast special for you. We got a podcast code, YEAR500, YEAR 500 at checkout for Teddy's 1 year all access. That will give you his NBA, his rest of college basketball, full MLB season, full college football, full NFL, full any other play that he gives out with his service for $500 off his 1 year all access, which is normally $19.99. You'll get it for just $14.99 with the podcast code YEAR500 at checkout. So you get every play, every sport that Teddy released for 365 days with the coupon code YEAR500 at checkout. $500 off that retail price, and we'll make it active for mine as well. I'm seeing college basketball well right now, and just like Teddy, you'll get MLB, college football, NFL, college basketball, any play that I give out as well. YEAR500 for Teddy's 1 year all access, or myself, Drew Martin's 1 year all access for $500 off the real retail price. YEAR500 at checkout. Teddy, moving down the card here, we got 505, 506, Portland at Brooklyn, seeing 2.5. That's Portland laying on the road. 230.5 the total, Teddy.
Yeah, and just one last thing about that YEAR500. First of all, Drew, congrats on being red hot right now. What do you won? 19 of your last 23. You're crushing it. You're doing everything right in college hoops, and I haven't done a thing right in college hoops all week. I'm so frustrated today in that regard. But it's definitely worth noting, man, the way to make money with any handicapper. If you're buying plays, it's tough. Get on board with an extended service package. You can see what someone has to do over the what someone can do for you over the long term, whether it's me or Drew. Get on board. Get $500 off today. We talk about the Nets and the Blazers. The Nets were as big a point spread story as there was in the NBA over the first half of the campaign. This side of Milwaukee, anyway. Certainly a team that came on like a freight train for their backers in the 2 months prior to the All-Star break. And then Joe Harris made some noise winning the three-point contest. And it's a Nets team that the bandwagon continues to get bigger for a squad that, again, hasn't been in the playoffs, is very interested in getting even an 8 seed in the Eastern Conference. Every game's important for Brooklyn, and they've been major moneymakers, and they've been under-the-radar moneymakers as well. All that being said, the money's coming on Portland for tonight. Why? Well, Damian Lillard's upgraded to probable. There was some concern about his knee. He looks to be good to go. And, of course, the signing of Enes Kanter. I know that he was a non-factor with the Knicks. Everyone's a non-factor with the Knicks. But Kanter is someone who can come in, give him some rebounding, give him some instant offense off the bench. Not much for low-post defense, obviously, but I think he makes the Blazers at least a little bit better. The betting market's reacting to that this morning with the money coming in on Portland. Again, this was as low as Pick'em at the Open at the Westgate. Blazers now laying 2.5, even 3 in some spots, both here in Las Vegas and offshore.
All right, Teddy, and that coupon code was YEAR500 at checkout, $500 off. 1 year all access with Teddy Covers or myself, Drew Martin. We got 507, 508 up next, Teddy. Boston, the Celtics, traveling to play Milwaukee Bucks. You just mentioned them. 5.5 laying at home. That's the Bucks. 227.5 the total, Teddy.
Yeah, and injury news for this ball game as well. There was a lot of concerns about Kyrie Irving and whether he was going to be good to go for Boston. He's been upgraded to probable. His backup as well, Terry Rozier, Boston's number 2 point guard, looks to be good to go as well. He, too, has been upgraded to probable, though Gordon Hayward will not play this evening. I shouldn't say that. He's been downgraded to doubtful. I don't expect him to play. The markets don't expect him to play in Milwaukee tonight. And that Hayward signing looking worse and worse by the day for the Celtics. When he plays well, it's been a pretty good situation for Boston. But Hayward still, to me, does not look like the same player that he was prior to the injury. That being said, the Bucks had some injury concerns as well. Giannis, there was some question whether he was going to play. He's got a balky knee. He's upgraded to probable. But the key guy for me, and I'm really interested to see what Mike Budenholzer does with Nikola Mirotic. Here's a guy who literally is instant offense off the bench, instant perimeter shooting, and that's exactly what the Bucks needed. That's their one weakness, and I thought they solved it real well at the trading deadline, getting the one guy I would want, the stretch four, who is going to make all kinds of matchup problems in the Eastern Conference in the postseason. And Budenholzer, with his background in San Antonio and Atlanta with the perimeter shooters, he's going to know how to use Mirotic from day one. They acquired him. He was still hurt. He didn't play before the All-Star break. He should play tonight. And two teams that played really good basketball going into the All-Star break. The Bucks won, 14 out of 16, and the Celtics won 12 out of the last 16. And the first one was a loss. So really 12 out of the last 15. So two teams that played pretty good ball going in. Boston, we like I like Brad Stevens to have his team ready coming out of the break. I have that same feel for Budenholzer, though, and I'll tell you what, things that you haven't wanted to do this season is bet against Milwaukee in any role. They've been moneymakers as dogs, favorites, home, road, stepping up in class, stepping down in class. The Bucks have been as consistent as it gets from a point spread standpoint, not a team I have any inclination to step in front of.
Teddy, next game up, we got 5:09, 5:10. Late start here, 10:35 Eastern, 7:35 Pacific here. Houston at the LA Lakers. LA Lakers, what we're seeing, catching 3 at home, 232 the total.
Yeah, lots of money here for Houston in early betting action. And it's all injury related. Again, we have Clint Capella, who is, a borderline all-star, certainly an impact player for Houston. He's missed, the last 15 games. When he got hurt was when Harden had to go nuts and started taking over the entire offense. He's an impact player, both ends of the court for the Rockets. An impact defender, an impact rebounder, certainly an important player for the Rockets' low-post offense. He means something to the point spread, and I'm not surprised at all that we've seen the markets move towards Houston with the announcement of his return. And, of course, they should have Austin Rivers in the lineup tonight as well. There were some concerns about his status, the backup point guard for the Rockets, and he matters as well for Houston. So I can understand the money coming in on the Rockets. Interesting quote, from LeBron worth talking about, is saying his intensity level has been, quote, activated for the stretch run. And I do believe that the Lakers are going to find their way into the playoffs when all's said and done. And that means games like this are games that I tend to want to be betting on L.A. in these, if they win the game at home, they're going to cover the number type of contests. From a pure talent standpoint, no. Lakers aren't better than the Rockets right now, certainly not with Capella and Rivers set for Houston. But Houston's not a team I trust, not in any role. And when LeBron says my intensity level is upgraded, well, you saw him in the second half of the All-Star break game with his intensity level upgraded, and they rallied back from a huge deficit and ended up winning and covering. That's what the best player in the NBA is capable of doing. No interest for this better in stepping in front of the Lakers tonight.
And Teddy, when you bring up the best player in the NBA, I mean, the Lakers sitting at 28 and 29 right now, about 2.5, 3 games out of the number 8 spot in the Western Conference. It's surprising to me to see this. In years past, that wouldn't have happened as far as the best player on the team not being in the playoffs at this point in the season. Is that surprising to you?
Not considering what the Lakers have gone through. I mean, think about what this, the NBA rewards continuity. All right? When you have the base core of a franchise that's there, and they're going to be there, and yeah, the role players might change, but the base core is there. Look no further than the Warriors, who have had their entire crew for this entire run, And then you take a team like the Lakers, you say, all right, we're going to bring in LeBron, we're going to shake up the roster, then we're going to do it again midseason. We're going to have half our guys hurt at one point or another. We're going to take a young team and throw a million trade rumors out there. In my mind, it's all very understandable scenarios for why the Lakers have underachieved modestly, and certainly you have to call it modestly. From a point spread perspective, they haven't been a disaster. They haven't, from a win total standpoint, they're on pace to reach their season win total with a decent second half. It's not like this has been an abject failure for L.A. Western Conference is tough, and the Lakers have been through a lot. One would expect post-trade deadline, this is the core of the squad. I would think the Lakers will get better down the stretch, not worse.
And so, given the opportunity, Lakers in the playoffs or outside the playoffs, even odds, you would say in?
Yeah, at minus 110, I actually bet that.
Okay.
The Westgate put will the Lakers make the playoffs at minus 110, and I put that in my pocket.
Okay, nice. And how do you think they'll do, just off the top of your head, in the playoffs? You think they can get out of the first round?
No, they'll get swept by Golden State. Maybe they win a game.
What? So you don't think they got a shot at the 7, the 6 seed, anything like that?
Gosh, I got to look at the standings right now for a minute. Hang on 1 second.
No,
right. Because honestly, I do very, very little projecting what the first round playoff series are going to be until we get to April. But right now they're behind I don't know they get to Utah. I don't know they get to San Antonio. It's Clippers, Kings, Lakers for the 8 seed, in my opinion. One of those 3 teams will get it.
Okay. Well, a little philosophy talk there with Teddy. Like to always get your opinion. And we got 1 game left, Teddy. Guys, remember the coupon code YEAR500 at checkout. 1 year all-access pass with Teddy or myself, Drew Martin, for $500 off. Big savings there for 1 year all-access, YEAR500 at checkout at sportsmemo.com. We got another late game here. 2 get-back games, Teddy. Sacramento at Golden State to end it. 238.5 or 239 the total. 12.5. That's the Warriors laying at home.
Yeah, and I'm involved in this game for my clients. If you're interested in getting on board, just visit the website right now, sportsmemo.com. You can get on board for $20. Certainly a fascinating game. When you think about the nuances, the Kings have given the Warriors trouble in all 3 meetings this year. The 3 meetings combined, Golden State's won all 3 by a combined margin of 10 points. I think 5, 4, and 1 point victories, not covering a point spread, not really sniffing a point spread cover in any of those games. We talk about teams that you trust coming out of the All-Star break. Warriors, probably fairly high on a lot of people's lists. I don't necessarily disagree with that. Golden State's been through the rigors of the All-Star game and the distractions of the All-Star game with multiple players and then come back and come away victorious in their first game back out of the break, whereas the Kings don't have that, all right, hey, let's take a week off and get back on the same page at full strength from day one. They don't have that particular level of experience. All that being said, the Warriors haven't been great at covering numbers coming out of the All-Star break. In fact, they've been money losers in this role. They haven't won a game coming out of the break by a dozen points or more at any point in the Steph Curry era.
Teddy, anything else you want to throw out there before we shut this down?
Yeah, I'm glad we did a podcast today, man. I was whining about it. I'm like, I'm so mad. I'm so frustrated with my college hoops this week. I'm like, let's talk NBA. I'm excited the NBA's back. I'm looking forward to this is a good time of the year to be involved in the NBA. So I'm glad it's back, and I look forward to make a little bit of money over the next couple of weeks, see what we can do for my bankroll and that of my clients.
All right, Teddy. Always like having you on. Guys, check out sportsmemo.com. Teddy's got a play up 100% under the radar angle at sportsmemo.com. We got the coupon code YEAR500 at checkout. 1 year all access with Teddy Covers or myself. You'll get every sport, college football, NFL, the whole shebang, MLB through the World Series, and basketball all down the stretch, both college and the NBA, for just $14.99. If you like big savings, this is the coupon code for you, YEAR500 at checkout. 1 year all access at sportsmemo.com. Guys, best of luck with your bets. We'll be back tomorrow with Robbie Vino talking college basketball.
Looking for the latest in entertainment stories? Well, you'll have to wait, as Cream Egg hunting season is back! Hunt down the rare white cream egg and be in with a chance to win a sweet prize of up to €10,000. Join us, fellow cream egg hunters, and find out more by visiting Cadbury Ireland on Facebook and Twitter.
With 0% finance on our Seed, Stonic and Sportage models, you know you'll get an unbeatable deal at your local Kia dealer. But as well as great finance deals, you'll get something else as well. The reassurance of knowing that wherever the next 7 years bring you, Kia has you covered. The Kia 7-year warranty, quality redefined. For more, visit kia.com. Lending criteria and terms and conditions apply.